Hi everyone,
Thread on my head.
here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Summer Walker album, Still Over It. This is the newest full-length LP from singer and songwriter Summer Walker, the follow-up to her breakout 2019 record, Over It, one of the biggest R&B releases of that year, setting Walker up to potentially become one of the genre's biggest stars over the next decade. And Still Over It, if you couldn't tell from the title, is sort of like an attempt at repeating that success, with a fatter feature list, track list, and a very similar attitude. And while there's no easy way to dive into this stuff, I feel like if you were to listen to this album and simply leave your engagement with Summer Walker there, you would only be getting part of the story, as Walker's Instagram antics and all of the speculation about her love life, her personal life, has been cause for a lot of headlines and tension, which I imagine has been really painful for her to have these very intimate elements of her life dissected so toxically over social media. But the whole purpose of Still Over It seems to be to put out her side of the story and also turn lemons into lemonade. I mean, the intro to the record features a message from Cardi B encouraging Summer to do exactly that. But this record's not simply born out of Walker's personal experiences, it also very much feels like a product of a post-Lemonade, post-Control world. Of course, this record also features SZA on the track No Love, and also throws it back to the more sensual vocal stylings that defined the R&B of the 90s and early 2000s. Combine that with the consistent themes of heartbreak, betrayal, cheating, sex, and Walker learning to live for herself, you've got a pretty focused and cohesive project. And all these things collectively make Still Over It, in my opinion, a cut or two above Over It. But in a way, Still Over It still suffers from some of the shortcomings of its predecessor. Truth be told, Walker is not the strongest vocalist out right now. There are pockets on this LP where Walker delivers some perfectly capable and intimate vocal performances, such as the intro Bitter, but there are so many other tracks on this LP where the singing is so obviously touched up. When stuff like autotune does come into play, it seems less like an enhancement and more like a crutch, like with the perfectly pitched harmonies on Constant Bullshit, or on X for a Reason, where it's used on Summer's voice to the point it makes her singing come off stiff and synthetic. Not to mention the instrumental on this one sounds like a ripoff of Ghost Town DJ's My Boo. So sadly, there's parts of this LP where Walker didn't really show out vocally in the way that I hoped she would. And there are some other moments where the songwriting leaves something to be desired too. After all, there's 20 cuts on this thing, so every once in a while we hit a flat chorus, a half-baked song structure, or a song like Circus that meets a weirdly abrupt end. The song Switch a Person Out, the pacing on this one is so tedious it's painful. Occasionally the production can run a little boring too. I do appreciate the consistently dark and smoky sound that Still Over It tries to deliver from end to end, but sometimes this leads to beats that come across a bit too barren. Like the song Reciprocate, the rhythm on this one is so skeletal and so basic, it's totally flavorless, not to mention the dodgy keys in the mix that are barely there. Broken Promises is a track where I love what Summer is singing about dealing in rumors and trust issues, but musically this one just kind of goes nowhere fast. Session 33, with its meager guitar lines, is another instance of a song bringing more to a record narratively than it does instrumentally. Cause yeah, while that guitar doesn't really sound like much, this song is pretty essential to the track list in that it shows Summer reaching a breaking point personally and emotionally. She's feeling abandoned and left out in the cold and is essentially in a position now where she has to accept the fate of being this guy's fourth baby mama. But mind you, that song's actually a highlight on the record for me. Not only does it have a great tune, great instrumental, but it's one where narratively Summer finds the power to move on, coming out as empowered and angry, essentially listing out the ridiculous behavior she dealt with in the relationship, all of the bullshit. It's a seriously raw and relentless read that goes from the dishonesty to the clout chasing to even some mommy issues. Then we have the Ciara outro on the record, which I think ends things off on an even stronger note narratively, especially given the personal parallels there to Summer's story. But Ciara is obviously like further down that road and has shown in her own way that there's like definitely light at the other end of that tunnel, which I hope is the case for Walker as well, and when she gets on the other side of that, I hope she ends up kind of benefiting off of that personally, and I hope that shows in her music as well. So look, Still Over It does have issues, but I think Summer Walker does make up for a lot of these through her power to tell a story, not just on a single track, but building all of those into a larger narrative on the album as a whole, which is a difficult task. There's also something to be said about her talent to channel her emotions so intensely into a song. The give no fucks energy, for example, on the song No Love is absolutely liberating, and probably a couple of thousand babies have been conceived to the song Screwin' in the week or so that this album has been out. I think Summer also proves herself on this record to be great at curating a series of beats and sounds that fit her style really well, like the silky, dreamy jazz notes all over the song UNLOYAL. There's also the eerie Insane, whose fantastic but very simple instrumental features a sample from that legendary Kool and the Gang song Summer Madness. Closure is another track on the LP that I think ends a little bit prematurely, but I do love the luscious beds of strings laced into the beat on this one. Then Dat Right There is a flirty, summery banger with a Neptunes crossover on the beat. Also sounds like a radio hit mid-July in the early 2000s. So yeah, there are some great highlights in individual tracks on the LP, and from Over It to here, I think Summer Walker has shown a lot of growth, even if this record isn't perfect. Feeling a strong 6 to a light 7 on this one. Tran. Zishin, have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head, it's another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Summer Walker, Still Over It, forever.